Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nix coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. I wanted to speak about one of them rappers that I was growing up with a lot. I wanted to build a vocal chain for him, none other than one of the GOATs himself, Lil Wayne. So if you guys do want to get this template, this UAD console preset, pretty much, I could drop it down below. It's gonna be for free, so go ahead and take advantage of it and grab it. But let's jump into the game and let's look at how, Lil Wayne was really important for the modern rap game. So I know, like, Lil Wayne in the beginning, they had like Manny Fresh, Birdman, them boys had their own little motion where they was living at. But pretty much Lil Wayne was always that youngin', like he was a prodigy pretty much. And sometimes, when people is a prodigy, there's a lot of pressure for them to succeed and to, become this thing that they believe, everybody believes they can be. But Lil Wayne is an example of somebody who was a prodigy, but he lived up to all of his potential, you feel me? Like, he's literally a legend, one of the best in the game. Weezy F Baby, he also brought us some other artists like Drake. He also brought us Nicki Minaj. Those are some of the artists that was under his label, and they have a lot of hits. So let's look at how, Lil Wayne used to, be really progressive with not only his music, but also like how he recorded as well. Let's look at that. So the very first thing I wanted to check here today is the microphone that, Lil Wayne was probably using a lot of the times. So Lil Wayne was somebody who was very open-minded. This guy, he would use a bunch of different microphones. He was never stuck in his head about, oh, I got to use that microphone. He was a good example because he's one of them dudes that realized that, yo, it's not about the equipment. It's about me. It's about my talent. He's like the type of guy who just says, hey, put me in front of a microphone. Sure, I don't care what it is. I just want to rap, because he loves the game that much. So a part of being as successful as Lil Wayne is really loving the game that much. It's kind of like working out. The amount of work it takes you to work out and get in shape is, if you don't like to work out, it's impossible. You ain't never gonna get there. Same thing I feel like goes with music, to be honest. The amount of work it takes to make your music, if you don't 100% love music, it's gonna be hard, because it's so much work, it's so many hours, there's so much times where you're gonna want to give up. It's only your love for making music that's gonna get you through it. So that's something that Lil Wayne like to do. He's just like, put me in front of any type of microphone. He literally had a home studio. He used to be in his RV, you feel me, like his touring RV, and pretty much he used to have like an original Avid M-Box, which is like a throwback Pro Tools interface with the Rode NTA, and he recorded a lot of his stuff on that like cheap little type of setup. Even though it might have been cheap, he just realized that, hey, the $1 million worth of talent is inside of me. And that's what I always want y'all to realize too. It's not about the equipment, it's about your love for making music. Don't make no excuses, just go out there and rap regardless, you feel me? As long as you try your hardest, it will always sound good. Trust me, the feeling will always get across. So something like the Sony C800, when he was in the real studio, is something that he probably used. And we got to think about the traits, okay, of Lil Wayne's voice. He kind of got that little voice to him, even though like he his voice doesn't have that much low end. I wouldn't really necessarily say that his voice isn't powerful. His voice kind of does have like a swag type of power to it, and I think a Sony C800 would be an incredible microphone for Lil Wayne, because with Lil Wayne, it's like he has that little I don't necessarily sure, he has that crackle. That's the word. He has a crackling in his voice, especially when he's rapping with auto-tune. He has like a crackling and a popping. It's like a snack, crackle, and pop sweetness type of thing inside his voice. And something like a Sony C800 would really just shine a light on that good character inside of his voice. So his voice is not annoying and high. It's very type of a situation where it's crackling, but it's very pleasant, especially with the auto-tune tuning that bit. So that helps as well. You have the microphone giving a little bit of that shimmer, but then the auto-tune is kind of tuning that as well. So that's something I talked a little bit about in like my video with Lucky X. Go ahead and go check that out. Then after that, the next thing with Lil Wayne is kind of like his preamp and his compressor. So I wasn't able to find his preamp, but I'm gonna use my ear imagination, which is something I want you guys to develop as well. Your ear imagination, imagining something with your ears. If you had the chance to record Lil Wayne, you can't be like, oh Wayne, oh my bad friend, we don't got the plug in, I guess we can't record you. Like, nah, bro, sometimes you gotta just imagine, okay, this is gonna sound good on his voice, make that decision right away and do it, because sometimes you're not always gonna have all the tools, you feel me? Lil Wayne understood that too. Sometimes he might be on the road, he might be on that little tour, but he might not have that microphone, he might not have that little interface with all that print. He trying to go. He ain't trying to wait no time. He just trying to go. He trying to get to working. You feel me? The show must go on. So we will use something like the API 512C, and this one is pretty good because we're going for a modern sound. Lil Wayne was one of them people that he pushed that modern sound, you know, using the auto tune. Before it used to be like just an effect, you know, kind of like any chorus or a flanger type of thing. But Lil Wayne was a dude who he was pushing that auto tune and really rapping and really flowing with that auto tune. T-Pain was singing, but Lil Wayne was really rapping and flowing with that bit. You feel me? So I feel like the API 512C is incredible. It has a 2520 op amp in it, which is known in a lot of those API, like the API 2500, the EQs as well. A lot of API gear has that, you know, that good preamp sound. So that's the thing about it, is this sound is very familiar, and usually the sweet spot with something like a 512C is like that orange light, that first to second orange light, but not the red where you'd be kind of like clipping. But yeah, this would be very good as well. You know, I know that this one is very direct, and it really just kind of has, like, if you really crank it up a lot, we're going to look at the UAD chain, but when you really start to crank it up a lot, you start to really get this nice type of pleasant distortion that's really gritty, but really focused in the mid-range, and that's what we want. We want to complement Lil Wayne's vocals by focusing in the mid-range. All right, cool. So then after that, you know, I see that Lil Wayne was in the studio with Scott Storch, who was another legend. I might just do a whole, like, video about Scott Storch as well. If you guys want to see it, drop it down below, because he's kind of underrated. And, you know, I see that they had some distressors in there. So if I had Lil Wayne in the studio, I would obviously probably using an Empirical Labs, you know, distressor. And the thing about the distressor that makes it so amazing is that I would definitely be using it on an opto vocal preset. And let's look at that, you know, how we would have that here in UAD console. So I would be using it on something like this. And the opto vocal preset is pretty good because, you know, the stressor is a little bit more responsive than something like an LA2A. People usually use optical compressors, but the problem with optical compressors is the fact that sometimes that bitch would be a little too slow. You feel me? Sometimes that bit be a little too slow. It's clamping down too much on the signal and not letting it go over fast enough. I get it. But something like a distressor, if you put it on 10-1, you get the sound of an optical compressor. You get how an optical compressor works, but you get to adjust the release. So that's an advantage. And you also get something like the high frequency emphasis right here, this little band, and that makes the distressor work more for that high end, kind of like that 6K region. Could I say it's the harshness region? Not necessarily. You know, everybody's voice is different. You got to keep that in mind. But I'm actually kind of speaking into that preset right now. And yeah, you know, this is something that I'm very familiar with. So sometimes you just got to use what you're familiar with in order to, you know, really capture the good parts about the artist. So yeah, this is the preset that we're using here. And the distress is incredible. You know, you can get many different types of sounds, 1176, DBX over easy, get a LA2A, LA3A type of sound. So that's why the, you know, distress is incredible. After that, we would use something like auto tune on Lil Wayne. You know, he was like a lollipop, like a lollipop. You feel me? He was the one of them dudes that he really put that into the game. You know, where you know, he was really using that auto tune, and I would use auto tune classic. That's kind of mimicking Auto-Tune 5's algorithm. So all the Auto-Tunes, I guess they have a different algorithm pretty much essentially. So it kind of gives it a different sound, or maybe like a different tuning type of character. You know, some of them might sound a little bit more smoother or warmer. And I feel like the newer Auto-Tune, it sounds very accurate. Pretty much is what I would say. That's the right word. Like this new auto-tune real time sounds very accurate, which is very good if you want to get that 2020 sound. But for Lil Wayne, we would go classic auto-tune, 10 retune speed, a little bit of humanized, and you know, we would have that in the headphones. And that's why I like about the Apollo Twin. I can't think of any other interface that gives you auto-tune live with reverb in your headphones like the UAD does in such an easy, simple, compact way to use it. There's some people who say, oh yeah, I know how to get auto-tune in the headphones with my little laptop and my little interface, and I just route it. Nah, bro, I'm telling you, bro, that's not something that will work for everybody. That's why I always recommend an Apollo Twin for rapping, because like, bro, if you got that reverb in your headphones and that auto-tune, whether you're recording yourself or somebody else, it just helped with the vibe, bro. Like, it just helped with the vibe to the point where, like, the person can kind of hear themselves and gain confidence. See, that's what I always talk about. When you mixing or you rapping, you got to figure out ways to make yourself feel better. Because when you feel good, that's when you rap better. You feel me? There's no secret to that. Lil Wayne understood that too. He said, man, I feel good right now. Just put a microphone in front of me in the tour bus. I don't care. I don't need to go to no studio. I'm in the tour bus right now, put a little NT in front of me, roll a little inbox, and I start rapping. So I just love that mindset. That's the mindset I'm always trying to push on y'all. When I had seen Lil Wayne did that, I was like, man, that made me feel better about myself, because that just gave me a reassurance that I'm telling y'all the right stuff, which is always believe in yourself. Don't let the equipment stop you, bro. Just let a game and try your hardest, and it's always gonna sound good. You feel me? I don't want to be like those people who always trying to push a microphone. Oh, you need that C800. You need that. Lil Wayne ain't need it. Lil Wayne already realized the talent is within him, his love for the game. That's what's gonna make the music sound good. He put it in there. And then after that, we used the SSL E. You know, Lil Wayne was the type of dude, man, where a lot of his songs, bruh, a lot of his songs were done on the SSL. Like all of his pictures that I see, it was always the SSL. And SSL is really good for rap because they got that VCA topology. And with the VCA topology is, you know, the voltage controller amplifier type of circuitry is better because it's known for lower noise. You know, so when it came around the 80s, it was pretty good because it, you know, a lot of the times those consoles before that was tube, and them tubes, they be making a lot of noise too. So, you know, they was always trying to fight noise from tape, and the tubes wasn't helping it any better, you know, the console. And you got to understand that noise was compounding because you know, the music is going through the tube console, then it's going through the analog tape, which is adding more noise, then it's relaying and that bitch just keep compounding. So when something like the SSL came through that had lower noise, you know, lower noise because it has discreter components, which is solid state, it was a lot better. And it also gave them compression gate on every channel. It was just a workflow that worked very well. And even to this day, you know, a lot of the great you know, hip hop studios, you always see they got an SSL type of console, just because SSL is just a trademark for rap, rock, pop, all of those good genres, and it's a familiar sound. Sometimes we just want to give the artist a familiar sound, so now they feel like, okay, cool, I'm at home. You know, now they feel a little bit better about themselves. Now they can give a better characteristic. They can come out of their shell. All right, last thing we will use is the AMS reverb. And the AMS reverb, we'll be running with something like the Hall. I know Dr. Dre used this for Eminem, 50 Cent, and this is just an incredible reverb for rap because it really just has kind of like a low mid type of, you know, warming to it is what I would say. It's definitely warm, and it just makes you feel good about yourself. It's kind of like if it's cold outside, but then you come inside and you drink a warm coffee or a hot chocolate, you just feel like that warmth just makes you feel good about yourself. So sometimes that's what you got to do when you building a vocal chain, you recording somebody. You just got to do the little stuff to make them feel good about themselves. That's why making music all about, you know, social interaction. Sometimes you got to ask somebody how they doing. You got to be joking around with them before you even record them because you got to make them feel good. When you make somebody feel good, they're gonna start rapping better. So they're gonna be like, wow, you such a good engineer, you made me sound good. But in reality, that's not the truth. You just made them feel good. You just made them feel like they was at home in the studio rather than being in a studio, you know, in a big old studio. And now they gave you a better take. So that's pretty much the end of the video that I got here today. I ain't want to really overdo it, but this is the chain though, you know, the C800 is right here. Then the API preamp as well. You know, you guys might have to play around with this one because this one is very potent. This API preamp is very potent. You know, if you start pushing it really hard, you're gonna get a buzzing, a beautiful buzzing. Sometimes I like to take this and put this bit in front of a reverb and get that mainstream Tory Lanez type of reverb. So that's pretty much the end of the video here today for y'all. I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. I appreciate y'all. Don't forget to download this free UAD console. Go ahead and grab it if you want to sound like Wayne. Okay, so just say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Peace.